Let's think about GDPR, the implications for accounting and audit work. Now, in a short 10-minute slot, I'm in no way, shape or form going to do justice to GDPR. Let me just therefore give you a very, very quick reminder of the principles here. The reason I wanted to raise it on this session was because I think there's some interesting insights coming from the professional bodies currently about the specific implications of GDPR for accounting and audit work and the information you might have on your files. But a quick run through, first of all, about how it all works. Big area of regulatory change, of course, came in from 25th of May. Lots of stuff being said about the major penalties that might accrue if you don't comply. Do remember, though, that it only applies to information about a living individual capable of identifying that individual. Okay, that's the restriction on the information. But again, in accounting practices, many people will have lots of that going on, and therefore clearly GDPR is going to be an issue that people would need to actually embrace. In a nutshell, personal data, well, everybody's going to have it. It can be as simple as an email address, a phone number, or an IP address. So even if you work business to business, don't think you haven't got any, because you will have. Where might a practice be collecting information from? It could be from employees, it could be from clients, it could be from the website, it could be from networking events. How are you storing it and processing? One of the points making quite a big play of currently on courses about GDPR is the importance of doing a mapping exercise. Lots of good guidance coming out of ICW on that at the current time. Lots of good guidance coming out of the ICO at the current time. And I suppose what the mapping exercise might reveal, you've got more information that you need. If you've got more information than you need about individuals, give it back or get rid of it. There's quite a lot of spring cleaning going on, I suppose, as people start to embrace GDPR for the first time. I think although there was lots said early on about GDPR, about accountants maybe having in professional practice a controller role or a processor role, the sense I've got from what I've read recently is that accountants in professional practice are far more likely to be controllers all the time and much less likely to be processors. Remember that there are certain lawful bases for holding information, holding data. Lots has been said about the fact that you might need consent as a lawful basis. As I remember reading on an article last year I picked up on, consent for accountants in practice is the last place you want to go to find that. Do try and rely on one of the other bases for holding data. Although if you're doing lots of marketing activity in your practice, consent may be more appropriate. Remember that data subject rights exist. They include the right of access to information you hold about individuals and the right to be informed about the information you hold about them. And that is, of course, where privacy notices come into play. And that's very important at the current time to be clear with people, what information you hold and why. And we'll come back to that in a minute in the context, particularly of some questions around the implications here for accountants and auditors and the issues that they would face day to day. Compliance you'll prove by having policies and procedures. And remember that in terms of the ongoing requirements, we talk about privacy by design. So as your practice evolves, as the information you hold evolves, as your clients evolve, you will need to evolve your procedures to make sure that it comply with the current game in terms of that information that you might have. Now, just picking up if I could then on these couple of questions. I hold information about related parties on my accounts and audit files. Will I need to seek their consent to hold this information? I think the sense I got is very unlikely that you will. Again, the things I've read recently coming out of ICW on this have said that if you're doing an audit and you hold information on your audit files in order to do the audit and comply with the international auditing standards, that's based on a legal requirement. And that will be sufficient, and therefore you'll not need to seek consent. I would also say that in terms of accounts preparation work you might do to help directors of clients you act for, if you hold personal information about related parties in that particular context, then that's probably more to do with legitimate interests. And again, in that particular context, you would not need to seek consent. That all being said, we did talk about the right to be informed. We did talk about the importance of privacy notices a minute ago. And therefore, maybe if you are putting privacy notices on your website, you might include some wording to articulate, that you may hold information about individuals in the context of accounts preparation or audit work, but that's the only reason that information is being held. You might also perhaps think about that aspect in letters of engagement with clients that you do accounts preparation or audit work for. You might actually say to your client, who will be controlling the information along with you, that they might themselves make clear to the individuals concerned, the information you hold and why you hold it. I think clearly impracticable for you as an accountant and as an auditor to approach all the individuals concerned and tell them, but I think there is a general information piece there, and perhaps getting the client themselves to collaborate with you in that process is what I picked up from recently, the stuff I've read coming out of the Institute, and therefore from an accounts preparation and audit point of view, that I would say is certainly something which is worth kind of having in your mind. Linked to that, I've heard that we'll need to think very carefully about what documentation we hold when performing payroll testing. Is this true? And again, an issue here is that quite possibly, yes, it may well be that for firms that are doing maybe payroll testing as part of their audit work, or maybe they're doing a pension scheme audit, and in that particular context of information held about individuals and payroll details, it's just getting people to think on at the moment, do we have more information than we need? If you're doing a payroll test, you've got information about employee number, name, address, tax code, gross pay, net pay, deductions, all this information. Do you need all of that to do the test you're going to conduct? I guess ISO 230 on documentation would say you need sufficient information in your audit file to enable the test to be reperformed, but do you actually hold more information in that particular regard than you really need? If you do, then perhaps going forward, try to resist doing that and have the information required and no more. Because the more information you hold, I guess, if that information were to fall into the wrong hands, the more chance of a significant impact of that loss and therefore material data breach. And again, as I'm saying currently on courses, clients have got accessibility to information you hold about them. The more information you hold, the more you've got to track down and find in the case of a data access request coming in. So that's, again, something which is coming through as a topical issue. Again, something I read recently was if you're doing payroll testing and maybe the client says to you, we can't be bothered finding the information about the individuals you've asked us to do as far as your sample's concerned, we'll give you the whole payroll file and you find it yourself, that makes life easier for them. But is that then tons of information you're holding that you really don't need? So about getting clients educated as well to give you what you need and no more from a GDPR point of view, from a practice, would put you in a really good place. And this one cropped up earlier in the spring on an update I ran. Bank managers are getting grumpy about the lack of information in microentity and abridged accounts and asking for a supplementary analysis by email. Presumably, I can't just email this sort of information across anymore. Well, I guess at one level, ethically here, there's an issue about would you, the professional practice, be providing that information? Or would you be in a better place if the client provides the information of detailed analyses of expenses maybe, or debtors and creditors listings? Would that information, would that be likely to include information about a living individual which allows that individual to be identified? Arguably not. But I think some firms are saying, when we are getting external information requests from, for example, banks, because they aren't happy about the look and feel of abridged accounts and micro accounts, rather than getting our staff to worry about, well, is that GDPR relevant, is it not? Perhaps putting quite stringent restrictions about the information being conveyed and how that's protected. And that puts everybody in a clear position in terms of safeguarding information to ensure it's not falling into the wrong hands. I would say with that one, probably technically not covered by GDPR, but safeguarding information generally is no bad thing. So password protecting, portals, encryption, all these sort of things are topical. Do think about that in the context of that information as well as in the context of information about living individuals, which enables them to be personally identified. And that's GDPR, the implications for accounting.